Good morning. In today's lesson, we're going to be using trigonometric functions to find a side length. You'll be given one angle and one side length. From that information, we're going to find another side length. First thing that we're going to talk about is the trig functions of sine, cosine, and tangent. For every degree, there's a unique value for that degree. For example, sine of 30 degrees. Let's take a look at that on the calculator here. All right. Step 1, be sure that your calculator is set to degrees. And now we'll go in and we'll select a sine of 30 degrees. You can see that sine of 30 degrees is 0.5 or 1/2. All right, so we know that sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. Okay, and so now what we're going to look at is basically what that angle would look like. Let me snap in a 30-degree angle here. Okay, 30-degree angle. Okay, let's pull this up to 30 degrees. Get the right tool here. Okay, there's a 30-degree angle. Let me get this out of the way. And we'll snap this over. Okay, that's a 30-degree angle. Now I'm going to turn this into a triangle by doing this. Now, as we learned before, dealing with these situations, we know from SOHCAHTOA that I touched last week, that the sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Okay, so if sine of 30 is 1/2, then the opposite side must be 1, and the hypotenuse must be 2. Now, how would that help us? Well, let's suppose for a moment that we did not know what this number was. Let's just say that that number over there is x, an unknown value, and I wanted to figure out what this was. Then I know from the fact that sine of 30 is always 1/2, if I set a problem up like this, sine of 30 degrees equals opposite, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 2. And then I solve for x. Multiply both sides by 2. The 2's will cancel here, and that leaves me with x. And x is 2 sine of 30. Now going back to the calculator, all right, if I type in 2 sine 30, we get back to that 1 that I knew that side length was. So I know that this would have to be 1. All right. Now let's take a look at some examples utilizing these skills. All right. First thing, remember, SOHCAHTOA. First thing we got to do is decide which of these three functions, the sine, the cosine, and the tangent, which of the three we're going to use. In relation to this angle right here, we have an adjacent and a hypotenuse. So I'm going to use the cosine function. Then I set my problem up like this.
Because at the time, all EOI sensors that finished testing should
And back to where we were. Then I set my problem up like this. Okay? I say that cosine of 60 degrees has to equal the adjacent, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 14. And then once again, to get x by itself, I'm going to multiply both sides by 14. That will eliminate the 14's over here. And on this side, I just need to calculate now 14 cosine of 60. All right, so 14 cosine of 60. And that tells me that that missing side length is 7. Going back here, getting that missing side length. All right. So x x has to be 7. All right, so there's our 7 right there. Now we've just found the missing side length. All right. Now, This one, the x was on top. In this next example, you'll see what happens here. Remember, SOHCAHTOA. In relation to this side over here, or this angle, we've got an opposite, we've got a hypotenuse. So let's go ahead and set this up. That would be the sine function, the opposite of the hypotenuse. So I'll set it up like this. Sine of 24 degrees equals 11 over x. Now I need x over on one side by itself. So step one, I'm going to get the x out of denominators by multiplying both sides by x. That's going to move the x from this side over to this side. All right? So what I've got now is x sine 24 degrees equals 11. Now I need to get rid of sine 24. Eliminate from this side. X over sine 24 degrees equals 1. And then there we go. Now we've divided both sides by sine of 24 degrees. These will cancel out. And that tells me that x is equal to 1 divided by sine of 24 degrees. Okay? So now we'll calculate that, not 1, but 11. Let's fix that. You can tell it's been a while since I've done one of these lessons. I'm a little bit rusty. Alright, so 11 divided by sine 24 degrees. Enter. Okay, now the worksheet that you've got today, once it's rounded to the nearest tenths, the 0's in the tenths position. Since that's a 4, 3, 2, or 1, or 0, I will not increase that up. So my answer is going to be 27.0 on this one. All right, so x is approximately 27.0. Okay, so just to recoup what we've covered today, how to find one side when you're given an angle and another side. Remember, you'll need to use either the sine, the cosine, or the tangent to do this. And also, remember, SOHCAHTOA. That's the most important part of all trigonometry. We'll be back tomorrow.